Hello everyone, Katarina here. Welcome back to my channel. I really am delighted to be back with this tutorial. You would have seen at the intro there that I'm making these trees. Now I can only show this to you from this angle on this camera because as you can see they are huge. Now you would have seen I posted a video before and I think it was put in my shorts of a tree that I made one like this about 3 years ago. Now you can see the size difference. I went bigger and bolder this time. The boxes in here measure 2 by 2 by 2 inches, whereas in here they measure 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. There's a reason why I decided to go that big. There's actually a couple of reasons. Now we have been using in our family this tree for, this is going to be our third Christmas using them. And now sometimes if I get bigger sweets, you know, because I'm putting 2 in them for each of my children, sometimes we can't close the boxes. Yeah, it depends on how big the trees are really that you're using on a daily basis. But for these ones you definitely can fit any treats inside. Plus the paper pads that I was using, for this one I printed myself the numbers. On this one all these gorgeous papers were included in the paper pads. So for this tree the paper pad that I used is this absolutely gorgeous Time for a Fabulous Christmas. It's full of navies and blues, like real gorgeous papers. Some of them are already missing obviously because I've been using them to decorate this advent tree. And it had a sheet of full 12 by 12 inches with all the numbers from 1 to 25, and I'm using 25 boxes. Obviously you can use 24 if you don't want to use one for Christmas morning, but I like to use the 25. And these squares each measured 2.25 by 2.25 inches, so I didn't want to cut too much away from them, so that's why I decided to make my boxes bigger for this one. And I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I have no regrets making them a bit bigger. Okay, so this one is the first one. Now the second tree that I made is this one. Okay, absolutely gorgeous. I love this one too. I really can't pick a favorite. They are all really stunning. So the paper pad I use for this one is this gorgeous, also from the range, is Joy to the World. Absolutely stunning papers again, and also had the numbers in exactly the same size. I think I had to cut this down a bit to measure to 2.25 by 2.25, but it still has the lovely edging in gold, so it didn't bother me. I think it's absolutely stunning. They are so much fun, these papers. To make these trees I used white cardstock for the base of the boxes. It's 250 GSM paper that I used for each of these. And to decorate with the pattern paper I used 4 to 5 sheets of 12 by 12s of the paper pads. Now having said that, I did decorate 2 sides of the boxes, the top of the boxes. The front one is the numbers from the paper pad, and also I added the decorative paper on the inside of the back of the box. You don't have to do that, it's optional. I just thought it was nice. Once you're opening it, that's the bit that you see. Also, if you wish, you can add the decorative paper in there in a 2.25 by 2.25 size as well. I don't think it needs it, so I didn't go for it, but if you want to, go to town with it. Yeah, I think this looks absolutely gorgeous. I will walk you through every single bit that I decorate with when I'm doing the next tree that we are going to be making together. But I think it's lovely and it's sparkly and there's a fun element on the top. While on the one that I made years ago, I added a little box on the top. This is because for Christmas morning, on Christmas morning we add extra sweets, extra treats in them, and more often than not the lid comes off anyway because it just doesn't fit in there either. But the bottom of the tree, the trunk, is also a storage box, and I left it with the storage box for these ones as well. Okay. So they're quite nice storage boxes. If you want to store anything in there from Christmas lights or anything else, extra sweets, you can always go for it. On the top, as you can see, I didn't add the box because these boxes are so much bigger. I don't think it needed anything extra. And I think this little decoration on the top will just added that little bit of a extra special touch to it. So this one I used a little gnome. On the one that I showed you before, I used the snowman, and I just got this in a local craft shop, a little Christmas decoration section. And for the one that I'm going to make now, I'm going to use this gorgeous little polar bear. I love him. Okay, so the paper pad that I'm going to be using for the tray that we are making today is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and these are the gorgeous browns and creams and greens, and I just absolutely love it. So these are bits that I've already prepared for our tray, and I already have made 24 of my boxes, and I'm going to make the 25th with you guys. I think this is such a lovely fun paper too. I chose the papers that I used were this lovely gorgeous brown with the rose gold, the green with all the stockings and the Christmas tree outlines. I love it, it's so much fun. And I also went for this orange bit, and I love the berries in there. And also there's the other one that I chose, is this one in here, because I'm using red berries on the tree and also red Santa hats to decorate the sides of the boxes. So I think this brought in the red to tie in with all the decorations just perfectly. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to show you how I made the boxes. And there's so many ways that you can make these little boxes or boxes like this. But the way I like to make them is the way I'm going to show you now. So for the box of this size of 2.5 by 2.5 inches, we will need a piece of cardstock that measures 10.5 by 8 inches. On the 10.5 inch, score down at 2.5, 5, 7.5 and 10 inches. Turn it the other way around and score down at 2.5, 5 and 7.5 inches. Now, once you burnish all these score lines, you will end up with 12 squares and a 1/2 inch tab on the top and a 1/2 inch tab on the side. Now I have prepared this here. I don't know if this is gonna be helpful for anyone else. If you want to screenshot it, go for it now. Every green line is a fold line, and everything that I marked with orange is going to be cut away. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this bit where the 1/2 inch of a tab is in here. I'm going to cut away the whole top section, including the little 1/2 inch square on the top. Okay, and also I'm going to cut away this one on the bottom. And I'm just going to cut little angles in here, so there's no bulking once I'm assembling the box. Now this here will be the top of the box where the lid will be, and this whole section on the bottom will be the bottom of the box. Anything in the middle we are not going to cut into. So I'm going to cut in up to that first horizontal score line on all 4 of these score lines. I'm just going to cut this little score mark away in here. I don't want that there. I don't like that lurking in there. Okay, so now the first one and the third one, okay, I'm going to leave as a full square, and this will all make sense when I'm going to fold this together. From the second and the fourth one, I'm going to cut little triangles away just on either side. This is just to prevent any bulking or the paper sticking out where it shouldn't. The reason I left these two in full is because those are the two that we will see once we have assembled the box, either on the inside of the box or on the bottom of the box. Now, in fact, we won't see this bottom of the box because it will be facing inwards to the middle of the tray, but I'm just in the habit of making my boxes like this when they do show, when I'm making it as gift boxes or any other projects when it would show. So I'm just in the habit of making them this way. Now I'm going to cut down all these score lines again to that first horizontal score line. I'm not cutting into that middle section again. Now, going from left to right from the side where this tab is in here, this first one I'm going to cut in about halfway down or just a little bit above halfway, okay? And I'm going to leave this one intact. I fold this back. For the third one, I'm going to do exactly the same as I done in here. I'm going to cut it away about halfway down. And this last one, I'm just going to cut just below that score line in here. Just like so. For these two bits in here that I've cut halfway down, the side that is close to this full bit in here, I'm going to cut down just a little angle in there. I'm not going to touch this other side. Again, the one that is closest to the full size of a tab, and I'm not going to touch that other side, not just yet. On this one, again, I'm going to cut little angles away. And this will all make sense in a little while to all of you. Now, to assemble this box, I'm going to give this bit here a good burnish. So now I'm going to take my 1-inch circle punch, and now this is quite an old one. It doesn't fully work either. I really need to get a new one. By the time I got to 75 of these boxes, my hands were quite sore from this one. I'm going to try to cut through both layers. Now, you don't need these 2 layers in here, and I will explain this to you now. I like to do this because fold it back like that, it gives me a real nice edge in here. You can just cut this whole bit away, and then you would have the finger hole in there just like that. You can do that if you wish. I really like the folded edge. It just gives it a nicer, cleaner look, I think. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to add a bit of a, and I'm going to add a bit of a glue to this little tab. I'm going to fold this up and over to this side. And now I'm going to add my glue onto this bit, only I'm going to use my Collall glue for this one. And I'm going to fold it back. And make sure I just give it a nice good burnish to spread that glue out. Now I'm not going to touch the top of the box first, I'm going to go on the bottom. Okay, so now first of all I'm going to glue together the bottom of my box. So firstly, just get this out of the way. So firstly I'm going to fold back the back panel, okay, so not where this finger hole is. I'm going to leave this as last. I'm going to fold this back panel back, and this one should have been left as full, okay. So now I'm going to add my glue to these 2 side tabs that I had cut angles away from. This will be jammed between the first and the last layer that I left full. So now now it doesn't matter where you're looking from, whether you're looking from the bottom of the box or the inside, you see a nice full square in there. I see. As I said, it doesn't really matter for this project because the bottom of it will be as inside of the tree, so you won't be able to see it as it is. But if you make this as a gift box or anything else, jewelry box where you're gifting it just like this, you don't want papers to be sticking out here and there and everywhere. Okay, so now the box is nearly finished. Only we need to cut little slots in here so the tab in here can fit in there perfectly. To do that, I'm just going to cut away a little slither of each side. Now, I'm not cutting away much at all. I'd rather cut away little, just like that, and come back and cut away more than cut away too much, and then the box just won't stay closed. Now I'm just going to cut a little bit away on this 1/2 inch tab as well, just literally next to nothing. Just shave a little bit away to make sure that it will be able to fit into those slots. And just like that, our box is ready. Okay, just let me tidy this here away. So now I have already pre-cut my papers, and I keep in mind this will be the top of the box where the finger slot is, because this is how the boxes will open. So the number, the front panel, whatever it is that you're using, will have to go onto the side that you're pulling out of the finger slot. So in here, this is where I'm going to glue my 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 of an inch, and this one is number 20. Now for the sides of the box, I've chosen this gorgeous glittered Christmas tree design. I absolutely love these papers, they're just so stunning. I went in the range and I was looking for Christmas papers for so long. I don't know how many times I'd been in, and they had none. And then once, when I wasn't expecting, they had all these gorgeous papers, so I grabbed a few pads. Actually, I have another pad that I was contemplating of using for this one, and it was like a pink and black and white, and it was gorgeous, but I didn't have any pink berries. Actually, I do have some pink berries, I just can't find them. I don't know where they are, but I have not regretted choosing this paper pad. It's just gorgeous. I think it's so much fun. Okay, so for the top, I'm going to add this one in here, but as you can see, there's the finger hole and I don't want to cover that up, so I'm just going to place my hole punch, just center it up a bit, and this fits perfectly in there on the top. And the last bit is going to be going on the inside against that back wall. Now these are lovely, nice and sturdy boxes as they are. Obviously you don't have to, and I've seen so many crafters doing similar projects like these where they didn't use base paper and layers like this, but they used the pattern paper themselves to create these boxes, so then you didn't have to go and decorate them. But what I find, once you cut into those and you get all those white edges, you know, especially if it's a white coat paper, that you end up inking and inking and inking to decorate them even further, just like I did with this one in here. As you can see, I used a lot of inks, and on every single edge of the box I had to use this, because these were printed papers actually. And once I cut into them and made the boxes, they were really white edged, and I just didn't like that look at all. Now, so this is our last box ready. Easy peasy. This is really not a hard project, it's just quite time consuming. Now, to make the trunk of the tree, the gift box, 2 pieces of cardstocks. One, I opted for this brown, just this is from, I think, the little cardstock pack, 270 GSM paper. And for the other side, the lid of the box that actually will be attached to the tray itself, I chose this lovely pattern from the paper pad itself. Okay, so these are nearly exactly the same. This measures 9¼ by 9¼ inches, because this has to go over this box. Is just a teeny tiny bit bigger, 9¼ and 1/16 of an inch. I hope you can pick that up on the camera in here. Just 1/16 of an inch extra both directions. Now I went ahead and I scored this at 2 inches on all 4 sides, and I'm going to fold and burnish all these score lines. And now I'm just going to create tabs on all corners to be able to glue this together into the shape of a box. So I'm just cutting down alongside that score line up to that first score line and a little angle away again. I'm not cutting away anything from this bit here. I'm leaving that line nice and straight just beside the score line. And I'm going to cut the score line away from this angle again. Now I've said I'm going to reinforce the 4 sides of this box, so I have cut out 4 pieces of this exact same brown cardstock, and these ones measure 5 1/8 by 1 7/8. So basically it's just 1/8 of an inch down on the width and on the height of it, which I'm going to slot in the just there. It really is just to make the box much stronger. This will be the base of the whole tree, and I don't want the trunk to be too weak to hold the whole tree. But obviously you can skip this step and you don't need to add the trunk. It doesn't have to be a gift box, or it doesn't have to be there at all. You can start this from the next step that we will be doing in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing for the lid. I'm going to fold and burnish the 2-inch score lines on all 4 sides. And now I'm just going to free up those tabs. And now I'm only going to glue in 1 tab to start with. I'm only going to do this one. Make sure it's nice and square and dry before I go to the next step of this. So I'm just spreading the glue out. And to glue the rest of the tabs onto this one, I'm going to place this on top of my box. This way I can ensure that everything fits perfectly as it should. And the lid for this box won't be too tight, so it won't fit on the base, or it won't be too loose, so it will keep sliding off. So once I'm confident that it is nice and dry, I'm just going to remove the bottom, and this is a good sign that it doesn't just slide out. It holds it nice and tight. I have to create a couple of finger slots, just again using my hole punch, just in the middle on two opposite sides. Now it will be much easier now to remove, if I ever needed to remove this lid. Just like so. Okay, so as you can see, it is nice and tight. It's not falling out, but it slides out easy if you need to use it. So now, as I said, you don't need to, you can completely skip this whole box thing down here. You don't need that. I think it adds a little bit of an extra, and that's how I love to do them. You can just start from this step here that we are going to make now, or I've already prepared it. I just walk you through it. It's a 9-inch circle which I cut out using this circle cutter. Now this is an X-Cut make, I think X-Cut. I think it was X-Cut, but there's other brands out there on Amazon. You can find this easy, and I think it's such a handy tool to have in your craft room. Now I've cut this out 3 times. The top one in here is a pattern paper again from the paper pad, and the bottom 2 are just scrap papers. This one here is just the paper from the Lidl cards, or cardstock from the Lidl package that I don't really use this color, and the middle of one is just from a 12 by 12 paper pad that I don't really use, and I ran across the edge with Distress Oxiding, and for this one I used the Gather Twigs. For the first tree that I made, I think it was a sapphire, like a navy blue color. So it's just really just to match the theme of the tree. Now because I used my Collall glue to glue this together, this is real nice and strong. This is almost like chipboard, so I know that this is going to be nice and sturdy. Now if you don't want to make the box, you can just start building your tree on top of this, or you can create 2 of these, attach them with a brad where you can turn it from here. And there's so many other options and so many tutorials that you can find on YouTube or Pinterest for all the different options. Now, the way I like to arrange mine, just to see if you're interested in trying to make a tree with the 2-inch squares, then this this bit measures gosh, I can't remember, I think 7 inches. The box is exactly the same size as I just made for this other tree, the bigger one. It still fits, you know, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so for the first layer of the boxes, I'm going to glue down, I'm going to use my hot glue in here. I'm going to glue down 7 boxes. Then the next layer will be 6, 5, 4, and 3. And if you're only using 24 boxes, then for the very top you will be left with 2 boxes instead of the 3. So I'm just kind of arranging them in a nice circle shape, and I'm going to start gluing them down. To glue them down, I'm only adding glue onto the back of it. I'm only going to add glue onto the back half of the box, and I'm going to try to line it up there as best as I can. And I also am going to add a bit of a glue just onto the bottom in there. So I hope my head isn't in the side. Okay, and I've also just added a little bit of a hot glue onto the back of it, and I'm only doing this for the first layer. Now you won't be able to see this at all because it will be all built up, and this will be the middle of the tree, or the middle of the hollow of the tree even, but it just adds a little bit of an extra hold to this. This first layer of boxes is done. I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to glue the trunk on it, this box on it as the trunk of the tree. Obviously I could have done that before I added the boxes, but I forgot. It really doesn't make difference at this point, so it's still easy to do. To do that, I'm using my Collage glue. Now this again is a waiting game for this one to dry, but I just really love the strength that once this is dry will give to the whole tree. Okay. For now, I waited for that glue to dry a bit. I kind of arranged what way I want to glue these on. Now for this layer there's only 6 boxes gonna go on, so you won't be able to fit them exactly in all the spaces, but that's the whole idea of it. They are being offset, and it's just going to give so much to the overall look of the tree once it's ready. And the way you can decorate the gaps between those boxes is just really going to look so good. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to glue this layer on. I'm just adding glue just where I know that the boxes will sit. Now I'm going to add 5 boxes to the next layer again. Okay, so the last little element that I need to add here is a 3.5 by 3.5 inch little square, and I've scored down at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. I'm going to create little tabs on all 4 corners. Yeah, and I'm going to take a little piece of cardstock. This is just a scrap left over from where I cut the circle out for the bottom of the tray. I'm going to glue these together. They are just under 2.5 by 2.5 inches, and I'm going to use again my Collage glue and just glue this to the bottom of this little, which is going to be essentially my little tray for the topper. The reason I added those extra layers on the bottom, because this will be holding my polar bear, and this one has some kind of a weight to it, so I don't want it to start bowing inside. And I know that this here, once dries, will be nice and strong to hold it perfectly. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is just a piece of copy paper, because I will be using this fake snow. This is lovely iridescent. I don't know where I got this from. I've had this for years in my stash. I've absolutely no idea where it came from, but you can get fake snow anywhere, really. Any craft shop would sell them, or online. Now I'm going to add glue onto the bottom of this one. And any glue oozing out is alright, because I will be covering it all up with snow. I want to make sure that this will be holding real nice and strong. And I'm kind of adding it to the side. And now I'm going to just put this extra snow in there, let it dry. And I'm going to get my little box of decorations that I will be using. I'll walk you through it in a minute. But first of all, I want to add just a couple of these trees in here with the, oopsie, with the polar bear. I don't need that string. Just want to make sure they're not too big or too small. Actually, I might look for something smaller. This here look perfect. So I'm going to add again just a little glue on the base of these little trees. I got these from the Works, and they are in all different sizes. Some of the packages had 2 bigger ones in, some of them had 5 smaller ones, so it's just all different sizes. And so they're just really all different sizes, but the same trees, and I think they just look perfect. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to tip out the excess of that snow, and I'm just going to add a lot more glue there, and I'm just going to layer these up. So a bit of a glue in there, and add my snow, and just wait until it dries. Then I'm going to tip the excess out, and I'm just gonna keep going until there's enough snow to cover up the whole bottom of the tray. And now it is all basically down to decorations. Now this is way too close to my camera, so I can't really show you what I'm doing. Maybe you can see it in there. I'm just trying to cover up that hole in there and going to line this up, and wherever the bear will be facing, I mean, now because I've added a bear and it will be facing essentially to the front of the tree, but because the numbers are all over the place on the boxes, it will be turned and twisted anyway, so it really doesn't matter. It's down to your personal preference which way you would it really is just down to choosing a side in which way I want the bear to look. So I'm just going to add a bit of glue in there and the whole perimeter of that, and there we go. I'm just, so now I managed to raise my phone up a bit, managed to figure it out eventually, and just to see what you can see. I think it will be alright. You can see some of my mess on the on the sides of the mat, but that happens when you're crafting. So now I will be decorating this, and I will be adding all different things to fill up the spaces between the boxes. And what I'm using is really everything just from craft shops, from the Christmas sections. Hollies, these are lovely, lovely sparkly ones. We got these gorgeous little mushrooms. I think they are so cute. And then baubles. And for this one, I think I'm going to mix the rose gold with the gold. I think it looks gorgeous together. I got a deer. I have one on each of these boxes and a butterfly on one of each of these boxes. I think they are gorgeous, lovely glittery. I'm adding a little robin, and then all different berries and the trees. There's Santa hats, and then there's snowflakes and pine cones. So basically I'm just adding there's some of these holly leaves. Basically I'm just using some of my old stash as well, like this holly. I completely forgot that I had them, as well as these Santa hats. So I'm just going to add them where I see they fit the best, and I'm going to speed this process up, obviously. So this is it. I think the tree is ready. Now, as I said, it's very hard for me to show it from the angle that you need to see it, so I will be adding pictures and little video films at the end so you can see how I decorated. This is it. Just use the bulbs and all the different decorations that I showed you at the start, and I think it's just turned out absolutely something. I might need to add a little bit more glue for the little reindeer here. Now I realize this is kind of nearly cutting it quite fine for the 1st of December. If anyone wants to make this, but it's doable. It really is doable. It takes a few hours to make them, but if you don't want to layer up your boxes the way I did and you cut them straight from the pattern paper, it's even quicker and easier. So it really is doable if you haven't made an advent calendar yet and you would like to make a handmade one. I really recommend this. This is such a lovely and beautiful project, and it definitely is unique. The way you decorate it, what you're using to make it your own, is definitely going to make it really nice and special. I know my kids still love the one that we have, and we have had for 3 years now, and I definitely think that we'll be still using it next year unless I make a new one. But so this is it, and now the reason I'm posting this so late is because I've started working now as well, so I'm going to work 5 mornings a week, and I find it even harder to find time when to record videos, but it is something that I will have to work on to set myself into a routine again. Now I'm not going to even promise now that I will be very consistent with my videos. I will try my best, that much I can promise. Okay, so I really hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, comment below which tree is your favorite. I really love them all 3. All 4 of them, with the one that I have here, the smaller one. So just comment below and let me know which one is your favorite. And until the next time, bye! Thanks for watching!